Hi everyone, it's Hannah. I am a senior at Chapelgate, and this video is going to be about how to play my instrument, and I play the violin. So without any further ado, I'm going to cover 3 main points during this video. The first is how to set up your violin, which some of you may already know how to, but just as a refresher. Second is how to hold the violin, which some of you may know, but those who are just beginners, it would be a good refresher. And then the last one is how to play it, which I know that some of you, including me, are still going to have to work on. So, I'll get right on that. Hi everyone. So, as I said before, I'm going to be covering 3 points in this video. The first one is how to set up your violin. So, this is my violin, and you can use a shoulder rest if you want to. If you're not comfortable, then you don't have to use it. But if you don't have a shoulder rest, then just get rubber bands and a piece of cloth, and that'll provide some protection. But I have a shoulder rest, so I'm gonna put that on. What you do if you have a shoulder rest is the big part goes right where this metal thing is. So you just put it on and then adjust it to the right position that you feel comfortable with. Now, there are 2 ways to play it, which I'll explain in my third point a little later on. But you also have a bow, which you'll use most of the time for playing. Let me just put this down here. Alright, so you notice that my bow is loose, which is what you're supposed to do after every single practice. It's important because if you don't loosen up your bow, hang on, let me get this off. The inside will get all rusted and this brass thing will get loose. So it's important for you to loosen up your bow after every single practice. So what you do is that you just tighten up your bow, and a good way to know whether it's tight enough is take your pinky and see if the distance from the hair to the stick is the exact pinky finger width. So as you can see with mine, it's exact. So, sorry. This is rosin which you put on the hair. What you do is if you have a brand new rosin, kind of like mine, you just need to scratch it with either a key, or if you have any rings, like I do, you can use it. But then, what you want to do is you want to start at the frog and just make a motion and then keep working your way up to the tip. And then come back down. You may have to press pretty hard in order to get it to stick on. And then just do one final run through. And now your bow's all rosined up. So, that concludes my first point, how to set up a violin. Alright, so the second point is how to hold your violin and your bow. Since I already have my bow with me, I'm going to teach you how to hold it. So, this is the frog. What you do is you take your thumb, put it right in this little notch here, and then curl your first finger onto this black thing here, or whatever you have, and then your two fingers go on the frog, and your pinky goes where the screw is. So now you can hold it. Now, the violin is a little easier. So what you do is you put it on your shoulder, and the hand that you don't write with holds the violin. You want your jaw part to be on the wrist, so you can just hold it like this. If you don't feel comfortable with that, then the proper way is to have your arm at an 80-degree angle, which some of you may not know right now, but once you get into high school, you'll remember it. So, a way to know if you're holding it right is if you let go and it just stays. If not, then remember that your hand needs to be 80 degrees and your wrist needs to kind of be a little bit curved. So that's how to hold your violin and your bow. The third and final point is how to play your violin. If you're just beginners, you're not going to use the bow. What you're going to do is you're going to take your finger, the hand that you write with, that is, and you just pluck the string and it produces a sound. That is called pizzicato. If you want to play something, you go down to where the end of the fingerboard is. You want to kind of meet in the middle of where fingerboard ends and where the bridge begins. So just pluck it. Oops, sorry, that my D's a little low too. So, I'm gonna do a little example with pizzicato. So that's pizzicato. Now, for those of you who are intermediate or advanced or beyond that, most likely you'll be using your bow. So, remember how I showed you to hold it? Put the violin on your shoulder, and you want to lightly bring it like this. You want to lightly do it so that you don't get any scratching or cracking noise. Some of you may cringe at this, but if you put too much pressure, you get that rough, squeaky sound, which you do not want to have. So less pressure equals more sound. And here's an example. Now you may notice that during that piece, I shifted up. That's because on the violin, there are 12 different positions, which when you get into advanced or expert level, you'll probably learn most of them. So you have first position, which is your normal first, second, third, and fourth. Then you have second position, where your first finger is where your second should go. Your second finger is where your third should go. Your third finger is where your fourth is. And then your fourth is where your fifth or next note that comes after. Same thing with third position. Your first finger is where your third finger goes. Second is where your fourth finger or open string, depending on which one you play with. Third is where your first finger on the next string is. And fourth finger is where your second finger on the next string usually is. So I'll show you better on my A string. So here's first position. Here's second. You notice that my second finger is where my third finger is. Third finger is where my fourth finger. And then my pinky should match the first finger F that's on the E string. So that's first, second, and third positions. If you get into higher ones, which is fourth, where your first finger is where your fourth finger goes. Fifth position is higher up. And then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I have not gotten up to all 12 positions. I am currently still on position 5. But I am hoping to get up to position 12 if I can. So I hope you learned something from this video. Remember, stay safe and have a blessed day.